Welcome back. Hope you had an enjoyable lunch. And we're going to go on with our next keynote speaker, and that is Amol Deshmukh from Gemalto. And his topic today is going to be about enabling choice, the key to a successful global payment ecosystem. Amol joined Gemalto in 1996, where he served a variety of roles in the domains of corporate security and financial services. His experience includes engaging Fortune 500 companies, financial institutions, and payment associations to champion next-generation authentication and payment technologies. In his current role as Vice President of Global Financial Services, Amol's broad security and payments expertise has been instrumental in shaping the Gemalto strategy to address the converging mobile and payment landscape. Please welcome Amol.
All right, thank you. So let's try to see if we can do this after lunch. I see we've lost a few people here, but we'll start off with what Gemalto is. What do they do? A lot of folks don't know about it. I know at least a couple here who are ex-Gemalto employees who should know what we do, maybe 3 or 4 of them. And then we'll walk through what we've experienced in many deployments globally and in the mobile financial space specifically. And we'll end up with trying to see what we all collectively can do together to make sure there's a pull from the market for mobile financial services. All right. So for folks who don't know Gemalto is a French company. It's a spin-off and a merger from Gemplus and Exalto, which were smart card providers in their times. But currently it's about a little under $3 billion revenue, about 10,000 employees globally, and many customers from a financial space to telecom operators to governments and Fortune 500 companies. Everybody and anybody who needs a secure digital solution is potentially a customer of ours. We have a large vested interest in mobile financial services succeeding. Of course, we work with a lot of M&O customers that we have, and financial institutions, retailers as well. And with everything going mobile, obviously security plays an important role, as Jeff was earlier saying as well. Balancing the security and the convenience aspect is one of the big keys that we need to really focus on. But instead of me trying to give a long half-an-hour introduction of what Gemalto is, I'm going to quickly show you guys a video which kind of captures a lot of things that we do.
If you need to activate 5 million of the latest 4G smartphones on your network in one single weekend, who can you trust with your reputation? If you were a nation looking to strengthen democracy through a secure voting system, who would you rely on? Or the web services of the world's largest online retailer, helping businesses in 190 countries make the most of cloud computing? Or the world's leading telcos and banks, bringing NFC and mobile payments to over 1 billion users. You know the extraordinary promise of the digital revolution is nothing without trust and convenience. You may not know that one company is behind all of these successes. A company trusted by many of the most respected enterprises and governments to securely deliver convenient digital services to billions of individuals. A company with a unique approach to creating software platforms, products, and services across markets. Gemalto, helping you thrive in the digital world.
All right. So that's a quick synopsis of where we kind of play. There's many areas where folks need secure digital interactions, and that's where Gemalto plays a prime role. We're quite proud of our portfolio from a secure digital interaction, and you can see anything that's chip card related, that's us. Anything that's machine to machine, SIMs, UICCs, online banking, mobile payments, e-documents, government ID, so on and so forth. So the list goes on. So where does mobile financial services fit in all of this? So a lot of our customers who are MNOs and financial institutions and retailers are in the thick of things for mobile financial services. I mean, consumers obviously are at the center, of course, because they use that. And that's what we'll try to focus on today. See how do we react to what the consumers are saying globally? How do we listen to what they want? And how can we all incorporate all of those things and give them the power of choice when they're trying to use mobile financial services? You know, one size fits all doesn't really work. We found that out quite well in many of our deployments. And if you fine-tune your solutions, if you fine-tune offers, if you fine-tune some things, there can be a huge success there for all of us. So, from a mobile payment solutions, Gemalto kind of sits in a very narrow spot, if you may, considering the entire ecosystem. So we work at it from two angles. One is from a provisioning standpoint, so that's your classical NFC world. You know, what happens when you need to securely provision credentials, credit card accounts, bank accounts, debit cards, so on and so forth, inside of secure elements and phones. The phones primarily are a untrusted platform. So when you talk about payment, you know, there's certain restrictions that come into force. Now these things are opening up a little bit. You have tokenization that is in the mix. You have HCE. You have secure element on the phones, embedded secure elements, external SIM cards used as secure elements. But primarily provisioning of credential security in whatever shape or form is a pretty important task. That's where the entire thing system bootstraps from. If you can't, and there was talks earlier which said, if you can't identify, authenticate your users correctly, you're going to be in trouble at some point or the other. So that's where one of our focus is. The other part is, we don't really focus only on saying secure elements or embedded secure elements are the way to go. We've seen several deployments around the world which use the cloud to use, for lack of a better term, use the cloud as a method in which you have all the interactions and the payment instruments, if you may, in the cloud, and you have digital interactions at the point of sale or online as well. So we have solutions around that, which a lot of people are not very aware of, but if you look at what we're doing for NCX, that's one of our key solutions is using the cloud platform that we have. So the mobile wallet is what really the consumer looks at, right? So they don't know about the secure provisioning that happens. They don't know about how interactions happen, say for example, when PayPal does transactions. Really they look at it from a front-end perspective. The mobile wallet, the user interface, the GUI is what they look at. How do they use it? What makes it easy for them? What is it that is in it for them is some of the key questions that need to be answered. So the users are smart, but they're very simple when they go out and go into the payment ecosystem, right? They just want it to work. They don't really need to know how it happens in the background, and that's where one of the key focus for all of us is. So Gemalto included. When we walk through our projects, start our projects and say, okay, what needs to be done? Of course, from a back-end perspective, security and how it needs to be capable of handling certain things is of prime importance. But really, from a user perspective, why do users use it? Why are they going to actually pick it up? Is going to be a key question that is not always answered. So, and hence you find so many of the deployments that start off, have all these promises and then just fizzle out in the end. So let's look at some of our deployments that we've done around the world. So this includes both NFC-based solutions as well as in the cloud kind of transactional systems that are used for, in developing nations, they're used mostly for the underbanked for mobile money, and in the developed nations, they're used for mostly transactional-based systems, like the NCX is an example. So just to give you an example, we've had different deployments around the world. In India, we're doing a deployment for folks transferring money from the metro areas to the villages. Okay, so that's a huge market in India. where we play as well. But using that same system in the US is just not going to fly, because you don't have the same set of problems that you have in a developing nation that you have in a developed nation, right? So there's other problems and other solutions that need to be put in place. So we look at that as saying one size fits all is not going to fly. So what do we need to adjust? What do we need to make sure that we can either fine-tune or move to a certain direction, either left or right, to make sure that our deployments are to the point where they are. NFC becomes kind of a pretty standardized method, just because of the way it interacts with a four-party payment system. And so that user experience is kind of consistent from a payment standpoint. But that's not all, right? Because otherwise we would have seen all of the NFC deployments being hugely successful. But you don't see that globally. It's all about how many places can I use it? What can I do more that I couldn't do with my other system? Those kinds of things and questions, when left unanswered, are going to be a huge problem. So you look at, just from Gemalto standpoint, and this is not all of the deployments, mobile financial deployments in the world. 70, okay, it's a good number, but it's not, it's not ubiquitous yet, right? And that's one of the key things that we all have to remember. These things take time to develop, okay? You don't change user behavior overnight. You don't actually get a situation where you put in a solution and everybody adopts day one, okay? It's a process. It's some of it is word of mouth, some of it is, why do users actually use it? Some of it is, it's just going to take time for, not the early adopters to pick up certain things. I still go to, HEB, which is the local grocery store in Austin, in Texas, and I still find somebody, somebody who can pull out a check, and I'm like, who uses checks? But they do, right? So you find out. Cash also. I mean, I never carry cash. So in fact, coming here on the toll road, they were asking for cash, and I was like, well, I don't have it. So, that's a problem with me, but, there's still some people who keep using, older payment methods. If you look at it, no payment ever has died. No form of payment has ever died. It exists. It kind of goes lower if you see more and more shift towards a credit or, a automated system that's happening. But you don't see it completely dying, right? And that's one thing that we all have to remember. It's not going to be that just because we put mobile financial services, the ability to pay on the mobile, all of a sudden you're going to have this acceptance where everybody is going to start using it, and it's going to be something that everybody has adopted at the same time. So I think that's one of the key things that we've learned in all our deployments as well, is to not overshoot the expectation to say, okay, this system is now going to be this wonderful system that everybody in the world is going to adopt day one. Okay, so you've got to plan for that, and that's what we talk to our customers as well. Sometimes you have more aggressive customers who say, hey, I'm spending all this money. What am I going to get out of it? What's my return on investment? Why am I going to do it if it's not going to give me an immediate ROI? Well, in a payment system, we all know, especially in the payment world, these things don't give you a return on investment overnight. Okay? You have very specific implementations that might be super successsul, like we were talking about Starbucks. So Starbucks, for what they want to increase their loyalty fees, really good. But as we were saying earlier, did it work the same way for Square, even though they were part of some of that? No. So you got to take that into account and make sure that the expectations of your customers are not overly overly advanced or so far in front that you can't meet them, and then there's this disillusion almost of saying, okay, this thing doesn't work. Right? So, having said that, coming back to our focus, the mobile financial, the form factor is changing. Okay, we do see that. It's got a mind of its own. The form factor is definitely changing. There's no doubt about that. We see more and more people interacting with their mobiles. I guess it doesn't want to stay on this. So it's changing. We'll move on to the next one. So what do we see from that? There's many providers who are vying for the consumer's trust, right? So you have traditional cards. You You have all the players that have been talked about since this morning and will be talked over for the next couple of days. Whether it's Amazon, whether it's Apple, it's Google Wallet, it's MCX, that's what they're going to be able to do. MasterCard, Visa, ISIS, Serve. Everybody is trying to play in this game. Okay. Some of these players are also partners. Like Serve is part of ISIS. Okay. So when you get an ISIS wallet enabled, you can get a Serve prepaid card that's part of the ISIS wallet as well. Okay. So these players are not only competing against each other, but it's almost like a competition kind of scene. So they're working with each other. They're working, sometimes in their own niches, trying to create an ecosystem where they can play, but then also trying to hold hands and say, okay, what can we do together? Okay. What does this mean really from a consumer standpoint, right? Consumers look at all of these options and say, okay, what works for me? Which is the one that I need to pick, and why should I pick it? And they don't have really a clear answer in their mind till they start using it. So you have folks who are early adopters. So we've seen in all of our deployments, there's always some people who say, okay, I think this piece of technology is for me because it does so and so. And they start evaluating their so and so. So it's almost like a My Yahoo that started many, many years back, right? And it's going back almost to that. The consumers, when Yahoo first started, and I know it's a wrong example because they've been losing revenue and all of that good stuff, but initially they were the ones who started off in the .com world and were pretty successful. But they were pretty successful because they gave the choice to the consumers. They said, okay, I don't need to present everything to you. I'm going to give you a flexible way in which you can do certain things, where you can pick and choose, select and deselect. And these things were important from a consumer standpoint. It's almost, we've come to that realization that that's almost the way in which mobile payments will go as well. People will pick and choose. People will select what they want versus what they don't want, whether it's based on offers, whether it's based on what payment instruments they would like to pay, how they would like to interact with it, so on and so forth. So I don't know that anybody has got that completely down yet. I mean, it's easier said than done, of course, but the choice and power of the consumer and giving that choice to the consumer is so super important that we've seen deployments just fail, even though everything was in place that was supposed to make it successful. It's because you never thought through in terms of, okay, I think the consumer can use it for payment and can use it for transit. That's okay. But there's very few people who were doing that together. So you didn't have a mix of folks who were going to use transit and payment, and that's why I wanted to use that mobile wallet. Okay. So if you'd given more of a choice to that, maybe that would have been more successful. All right. So as I said, there's so many options. What does the user look for? I mean, okay, fine. The payment using the mobile and just the penetration of mobiles in general is huge. But users don't wake up. I mean, I don't wake up being in the industry and wake up in the morning and say, hey, is there a new method to pay today? I'm not that excited, and I can imagine somebody who's not in the industry is not thinking, I got out of bed and said, okay, I need to pay. Is there a new way to pay today? Actually, the question that I ask is somebody going to pay for what I want to buy? That's more the relevant question than, is there a new way to pay today, right? So, we look at these things and say, is there something that the consumers would like to do? So our folks came up with a video to try to kind of capture some of the mobile interactions, and let's go through that and see if this is it. technically, again, you say, well, all of this is possible, right? Of course, all of this is possible in pockets. It's just that that ecosystem is not coherent enough where all of it works together and is given as a choice to end users. Okay? So again, we can talk about it as if you can lose your wallet, you can lose your phone. Right? So there was an instance saying, what if you lose your wallet, you can get your phone to get money from the ATM. Statistically, it's been shown that folks, when they lose a credit card, okay, versus a phone, they remember that they lost the phone or find that out in less than a minute, usually, which is amazing to me. Just to give an example, a few weeks back I was traveling, and I went to a mall, had lunch there, and was headed to the airport. Got to the airport, and I realized, man, I left my credit card at that California Peace location. Right? So what do? Just call up the credit card company and say, sorry, just send me a new card, I'm traveling, right? And cancel the old one. I can guarantee you I wouldn't have done that with my phone. Somebody would have gone and picked up my phone from there. It was not me, but that's the kind of difference, right? The phone has become such a ubiquitous way in which people interact and just have to have it all the time. I mean, 1 minute it's not with me and I'm like, okay, where's my phone? And people go get it. So making those interactions with the phone is normal, but it's going to come slowly. As somebody was mentioning earlier, I think it was at the keynote for Capital One, what's absolutely true is I can't leave my house in Austin today, I'm from Austin, without my wallet, primarily because my driver's license and my insurance are not something that I can hand over to if I get pulled over, or can hand it over to the TSA agent. It'll get there, okay? So it's not something that's technically impossible. But if you think that the banks move slowly, imagine how slowly the driver's license offices are going to move. Okay? So it's going to be there, but it's going to be a while before all of them are going to have everything that's completely digitized and acceptable. And that's where you're going to see more and more of a choice that I'm talking about from a consumer standpoint. Right? When you give that choice to the consumer, if I would have had that, I can tell you I would have definitely walked out without my wallet. I mean, I walk out without cash today, right? So why wouldn't I walk out without the wallet? But again, that's something that we need to focus on. All right, so very quickly, the users, right? They're smart. There's a few quick questions that they ask themselves, whether we quantify them or not. I mean, we all do it as users, okay? But certainly when we get into our business, with our business hat, we tend to forget this in all of our deployments, right? Is it easy to use? That's the first thing they ask, okay? What does it do for me? Is it really easy, or are you making it so much more cumbersome for me to use it? As somebody was saying earlier, if it's still so easy and I do carry my card in my wallet, just put it, swipe it, and I'm done. Okay? Now with EMV coming, if I have to insert it, I have to enter a PIN, I have to leave the card in there, there's chances I forget it. Okay, maybe there's, you're now starting to compare with what a mobile phone does today. I mean, you look at it, you got to pull your phone out today. Somehow you got to enter your PIN most of the times, because people at least have a screen lock, right? Open up the app and start using it. I mean, I can guarantee you, just from even being in the industry, pulling the card out and swiping it, honestly, is much simpler. Okay? But if it's only that, great. But if I can do many more things, there's going to be a higher level of acceptance. Right? Okay, is it relevant to my needs? I just mentioned that. If I can't really use it where I want to be able to use it, it's something that I'm not going to have a pickup on. Can I use it everywhere? It's the same kind of concept. That's one of the big key questions that we get in our consumer service. So, what does it do for me in terms of, can I use it everywhere? I go to take my metro bus every day. I use it for parking. Okay, great. Now you're talking. Right? Can I incorporate it in my lifestyle? Whether it's coupons, whether it's shopping. That integrated kind of scene is something that's absolutely critical from an end user perspective. Is it secure? So I'm trying to put these in almost order of how consumers think, right? they don't think about it as security as the top thing on their mind. When something like a target happens, yeah, absolutely. Okay? People do think about it, but that's because they've been bombarded with this news that their credit card information has been compromised. Okay? So now you see folks who are really focused on saying, okay, if I use it at Target, is there another risk? So you get people asking those questions to Target. So Target recently announced they're going to monitor, allow you to monitor your accounts or your social security number for a year. What that does to the already stolen credit card number is a different issue, but the point being, there are steps that are taken after that. End users don't think of it as the first thing that happens to them, right? Because it's secure. But it's our job to make sure that we don't fail, and we don't have areas where these things fail. So, okay, moving very quickly. What else can I do with it? Does it reward me? Is it so that I can choose what I want? And the most important thing that they ask is, can I replace my existing method of payment with this and the way I interact with the world? And if the answer to that is no, you're going to have a much slower payback. See, I'm getting out of time, so I'm going to do a very quick one last example. When we do what is known as the Costco pull effect, and I put this because I just get fed up because my wife wants to go and fill gas at Costco. And there's always these lines at Costco. Right? There's no other gas station that I always see these kind of lines. I'm honest. I mean, I don't know if anybody else experiences that or not, but there's these lines at Costco, and I can't imagine why people would spend that much time, but they do. And there was another thing that we saw in terms of one of the deployments that we have with ISIS right now, which is ISIS has a special offer with Serve, and if you use your ISIS mobile wallet at locations where it's accepted, you get 20% cash back. So we did a quick survey, and we had a few people who were using the ISIS wallet in Austin, and we found out that they were actually driving to the Whole Foods to get their groceries, which was about 15 miles away, or 13 miles away. And the drive time on a good day was 20 minutes, as opposed to the local grocery store, which you get organic stuff. So that wasn't the case. We asked them that specifically, which was 4 minutes away. So this was the kind of pull that was created because of special offers, because of something that the consumer wanted to go use. Now, that's the part that if we can get to, I think we have to get it. So I think with that, I'm out of time, but you can have any questions. So.
Probably have time for like one quick question, anybody? Yep, right there.
You mentioned user security concerns. Who do you see as having the primary responsibility to deal with that, to explain to customers in a way that they can understand how secure mobile payments are?
Okay. So that's a great question. I mean, security is probably everybody's job, but whose responsibility is it really, right? I think from anybody who has the user interaction touch or the touch to the consumer, it's going to play a part. Especially it becomes absolutely critical when you have a failure. So right now everybody's going after Target, right? Because they had a failure. Now that could have happened to anyone. Well, the banks are also affected because of that. Because you see most of the banks, when you go to their sites right now, the first thing is if you've used your card at Target, they're monitoring it. If you have any concerns, call this, blah, blah, that's their headline. So I think anybody who has a consumer touch is going to be involved. Now, is there one single party who's going to be responsible? I don't know that that's the case for me, because it's consumers think very differently. When let's say a phone is compromised because of something, right? Something happens because of fraud. Immediately they start thinking of calling AT&T because that's who their provider is. They're not really thinking, I'm trying to go call somebody else. Something happens on the phone, let's say you load the payment application and something crashes. It may be due to the payment app, which the MNO may have nothing to do with. But that's who they're going to call. So I think it's almost I know I don't have a direct answer, but it's almost everyone's responsibility. All right? Thanks. Very good. Thank you.